Bigfoot, you see that truck following us?
I see them, but they don't see me.
Good.
You can feel it, that slow burn turning into an explosion. Tulsa King Season 3 isn't just wrapping up, it's detonating in real time, and Sheridan's about to remind everyone why he's Hollywood's most dangerous storyteller. This isn't your safe, predictable crime drama finale. This is blood, betrayal, and the ugly truth about what power really costs. Dwight Manfredi's empire isn't collapsing by accident. It's being strategically dismantled, and the shocking part, it's coming from the inside. The leaks are swirling, the fan theories are exploding, and Sheridan's fingerprints are all over the chaos. This isn't a finale, it's an execution, wrapped in loyalty and lit by revenge.
I want this gold pinky ring wearing torn out like a rope.
Yes, sir.
The leak that broke the internet. What was actually revealed? Oh, the internet's gone full mob war over this one. The so-called Tulsa King finale leak that supposedly spills who doesn't make it out alive. What started as a grainy Reddit post from someone claiming to be a crew member's cousin's driver's assistant somehow snowballed into chaos. But the shocking part? Some of what's being whispered actually fits. The rumored goodbye lines up too perfectly with what Season 3's been building. That slow, tragic unraveling of Dwight's empire. And fans can feel it. Whether it's a script page, an on-set photo, or just a well-crafted fake, this leak hit a nerve because it sounds like something Sheridan would absolutely do. Twist the knife right when the audience starts to breathe again. You can almost hear the internet's collective gasp. Screenshots, breakdowns, and insider claims have spread faster than Dwight's rage after a bad business deal. But peel back the hysteria, and there's something oddly surgical about this leak. It doesn't feel random, it feels strategic. Like someone wanted fans to brace for heartbreak before it officially drops, or worse, like the studio's letting the chaos build on purpose, just to gauge the fan reaction before the finale airs. It's Taylor Sheridan's playbook to a T. Keep everyone guessing, then remind them no one is untouchable in his world of loyalty, blood, and bad timing. So what was actually revealed? Enough to light a fuse, but not enough to confirm the explosion. The alleged goodbye scene doesn't show who dies, just the fallout. The glass shatters, Dwight's voice breaks, and everything Tulsa's been choking on finally ignites. And that's what makes it terrifyingly believable. Whether it's a real script leak or an intentional distraction, one thing's clear: somebody's gone by the finale. And for once, it might not be Dwight who pulls the trigger, but the city he built that finally turns on him.
Let's talk about this booze thing.
Yeah, let's do that.
I want to share.
You know I got partners. Come.
Mitch's fate, the last old-school ally standing. If Tulsa had a heartbeat, it would sound a lot like Mitch Keller's voice. Gravel, grit, and regret. The man's been Dwight's moral compass since day one, and now in the blood-soaked chess game that is Season 3. That compass is spinning out of control. Mitch isn't built for the kind of war Dunmire's waging, psychological, merciless, public. He's the last of the old code, the handshake and honor breed that's been extinct since the internet learned how to ruin people for sport. And that's exactly why fans are terrified. Because in Sheridan's world, good men who try to stand between chaos and consequence rarely walk away breathing. Let's be real, Mitches. I'm just trying to keep things steady. Routine has an expiration date written all over it. Episode 6 already drew the crosshairs when Dwight's enemies started bleeding into Mitch's business, and every glance from Dunmire felt like a loaded warning. He's not flashy, not loud, but he's the kind of character who breaks you when he falls. And if the rumors of the finale's emotional gut punch are true, Mitch's fate could be the moment that finally fractures Dwight beyond repair. Losing Mitch isn't just losing an ally, it's losing the last person who reminds him who he used to be before all the empire-building, bodies, and betrayal. And here's the cruel poetry of it: if Mitch does go, it won't be by some grand act of heroism. It'll be quiet, ironic, maybe even avoidable, because that's the Sheridan move. Give you a death that feels unfairly human. one that doesn't tie a bow on the story, but rips the fabric wider. And when the dust settles, Dwight won't just be fighting the feds or Dunmire, he'll be fighting the ghost of the only man who still believed he could be redeemed. Mitch's fall might not just mark the end of the old school, it might be the moment Tulsa itself finally loses its soul.
This good?
Oh, it's good.
Good job.
Monster.
Laying down on the job, pal. You'll never get a raise like that.
The fan favorite exit. Who's actually in danger? There's something beautifully cruel about how Tulsa King toys with our emotions, dangling our favorite characters like bait over a pit of vipers. The Season 3 finale leaks practically set the internet on fire, hinting at a fan favorite exit, but the real question is who's actually in danger. Dwight's circle is shrinking by the episode, and the walls are closing in so fast that even the loyal ones are starting to look disposable. It's that vintage Sheridan setup, no one's too beloved to bleed, and sentimentality is just another weakness waiting to be weaponized. Let's talk about possibilities. Mitch, the heart of the show's moral compass, standing in the crossfire of loyalty and law. Bodhi, the quiet tech brain who's been playing a double game longer than anyone realizes. Or maybe, and this is the gut punch move, Tina, because nothing sends Dwight spiraling faster than family, and the show's been quietly building her as both his anchor and his Achilles heel. The leaks don't show a clear death, but they sure hint at a major emotional loss, and that phrasing doesn't sound like a business partner getting popped, it sounds personal. The truth is, Tulsa King has reached that stage where every smile feels like a goodbye, and every calm moment feels like a countdown. You can practically sense the writers tightening the screws, forcing Dwight into a place where revenge is the only thing left to keep him breathing. And when that inevitable death lands whoever it is, it won't just be shock value, it'll be a message. In Tulsa, loyalty isn't rewarded, it's punished. And the closer you stand to Dwight Manfredi, the closer you get to becoming collateral.
If you think we lost, then that means you think he won. Never gonna happen.
Dwight's breaking point, from boss to battlefield casualty. There's only so much blood, betrayal, and bureaucratic interference a man like Dwight Manfredi can take before something inside him snaps, and Tulsa King Season 3's finale might be that exact moment. From mob boss to modern-day warlord, Dwight's been trying to outmaneuver everyone. Dunmires, feds, and even his own ghosts, but it's becoming painfully clear that the chessboard has turned into a battlefield. What started as strategy is now survival, and for the first time, Dwight looks less like the man pulling the strings and more like one of the pawns bleeding out on the board. We've seen it building for weeks, the paranoia, the defiance, the way Dwight's eyes linger too long when someone mentions loyalty. He's lost allies, control, and most dangerously, his patience. The leaks tease something explosive in Episode 7. A man who's no longer calculating, just reacting. And that's the scariest version of Manfredi we've ever seen. Because once Dwight stops playing to win and starts playing to hurt, nobody, not the Dunmires, not the Bevilacquas, not even the people under his roof is safe. But here's the irony. The same traits that made Dwight a legend, the pride, the old school honor, the refusal to bend, might be the exact ones that break him. This finale isn't about who has the most muscle, it's about who can survive their own code. And if Dwight's not careful, he won't just lose Tulsa, he'll become another cautionary tale carved into the city's asphalt. A man who went to war for control and wound up a casualty of his own empire.
We'll stop him. If you want to make me proud, then you gotta finish this once and for all.
The Dunmire implosion. Son versus father in the finale. The Dunmire family empire, built on intimidation, manipulation, and an obscene amount of political grease, is finally starting to eat itself alive. The finale teases what fans have been predicting since mid-season, that the real threat to Lawrence Dunmire isn't Dwight Manfredi or the feds, it's his own son. Every empire dies from within, and the Dunmire name might just be next on that tombstone. What began as a father's legacy project is turning into a generational collapse with a son who's seen too much, learned too fast, and finally decided he's done being the quiet observer in his father's shadow. The tension between them isn't just emotional, it's existential. The younger Dunmire represents the modern world, sharp, tech-minded, and disgusted by his father's blood-stained old business. But like every rebellion in Tulsa King, it's not driven by moral clarity, it's about power. The leaks suggest a son ready to expose everything, from the bribes to the backroom deals, just to watch his father burn. And that's where it gets deliciously Shakespearean. Dunmire built a dynasty of control only to raise the one man who could destroy it. So when father and son finally collide, it's not just a family feud, it's the implosion of an entire order. Dwight may be at war with the city, but the Dunmires are at war with themselves. And if this finale delivers what the leaks hint at, the most brutal takedown in Tulsa King history won't come from a gunfight, but from a son finally daring to say enough.
You can't keep me here!
The Bevilacqua fallout. Who flips first? The Bevilacqua arrest wasn't just a plot twist, it was a neutron bomb. The kind that doesn't just take out the guilty, but vaporizes every coward, liar, and backdoor deal orbiting around it. Bill Bevilacqua was the thread holding 1,000 dirty hands together. And now that he's in federal custody, everyone from Dunmire's political cronies to Dwight's nervous associates are doing the same thing, panic breathing into paper bags and calling their lawyers. Because when the feds start tightening the screws, loyalty suddenly becomes a luxury item no one can afford. And here's where it gets really good. No one trusts anyone anymore. Dwight's crew doesn't know who might have already cut a deal, Dunmire's camp is quietly preparing sacrificial lambs, and the feds are sitting back, feeding the paranoia. It's the perfect setup for a domino effect of betrayals, all triggered by one arrest. The streets of Tulsa are about to turn into a chessboard where every pawn thinks they're a king and every ally is secretly rehearsing their testimony. So, who flips first? It's not about who's guilty, they all are. It's about who's smart enough to weaponize guilt before someone else does. And if this finale delivers what the leaks tease, Bevilacqua's silence or his confession might not just expose the corruption behind the city's underbelly, it might determine who walks away alive from Dwight's crumbling empire. Sheridan's signature finale move: death, betrayal, and a setup for Season 4. If you've watched Taylor Sheridan's shows long enough, you know one thing: he doesn't end seasons, he detonates them. Sheridan has a PhD in emotional warfare, and his finales are less about wrapping up threads and more about tearing open new wounds. Think about it. Every empire he builds, he burns down by the finale. So when whispers start spreading that the Tulsa King Season 3 ending features death, betrayal, and a seismic setup for Season 4, yeah, that tracks. Sheridan loves his finales like he loves his anti-heroes. Bruised, bloodied, and backed into a corner with nothing left but pride and a gun. The brilliance or the sadism of Sheridan's writing is that he never gives the audience clean victories. Dwight could win the war, sure, but it'll cost him the very thing that made the fight worth it. Maybe it's Mitch, maybe it's Tina, maybe it's his own moral compass, long buried under cigar ash and body bags. Whatever it is, Sheridan always ensures that triumph feels hollow. Like biting gold and realizing it's poison, the Season 3 finale isn't shaping up to be a celebration of survival. It's the kind of ending that asks, was any of this worth it? And yet, that's what makes his storytelling irresistible. Every betrayal plants a seed for another season. Every death feels like a statement, not a stunt. Sheridan's endgames are never clean slates. They're scorched earth, setting up the next rise from the ashes. If the leaks are right, Season 3's ending isn't closure. It's a loaded gun aimed squarely at Season 4. Because in a Sheridan world, the only thing deadlier than a finale is the fallout. So if you think this finale is just another season closer, you're missing the whole point. Sheridan's not done, he's just reloading. Because in his world, the bodies hit the floor, the survivors light a cigar, and the next war begins before the credits even finish rolling. If the leaks are true, this isn't the end of Tulsa King. It's the start of Dwight's reckoning, and maybe the moment Sheridan proves he's not afraid to burn down his own empire just to build a bigger one. Buckle up, because when the smoke clears, only one king will still be standing.
I want to finish the business we started.
No matter how you word it, it still leads to death.
What do you say?
he's gonna whack me.
Tulsa is done playing nice. After episode 6, the fuse is lit, the gloves are off, and every rat in this city is scrambling to save their own skin. Dwight tried to build a life, build a business, build something respectable, and what did it get him? A city of snakes, a federal circus, and a full-blown mafia man-child trying to humiliate him into the dirt. If episode 6 was the betrayal, then episode 7 is the payback. This is the moment Dwight stops absorbing punches and starts throwing the kind that end wars. No more compromise, no more peace talks, no more let's coexist in Tulsa. That era is dead, buried, torched. Because here's the truth nobody in this world wants to admit. Dwight isn't dangerous when he swings first, he's dangerous when he's patient. And now that they've ripped away his leverage, his allies, and his peace, he has nothing left but purpose. You can see it in his eyes. Episode 7 is the reset. This isn't business. This is what a man becomes when you corner him, betray him, and try to break his legacy. And Tulsa? Tulsa is about to learn what a real war looks like.
Jeremiah Dunmire, he's a force of nature. You have no idea who this man is.
Dwight Unleashed, Episode 7 as his first true counter-war move. Dwight finally stopped pretending he's playing checkers in a chess war, and Episode 7 is shaping up to be his first real counter-strike. No more make peace and build a business nonsense. The gloves are off, the rings are off, and the man is done burying friends while his enemies multiply. This is the Dwight that spent 25 years in a cage and lived to tell about it. Except now he's walking free with money, soldiers, and a rage the feds really should have noticed sooner. For the first time all season, he's not reacting, he's hunting. Episode 6 was the trigger, the humiliation, and the final insult. The moment Dwight realized, you can't win a war by trying to look legitimate to people who want you dead or caged. The sheer boldness of Episode 7's setup feels like Dwight saying, fine, you want the mobster instead of the businessman? I'll give you the mobster, and honestly, it's about damn time. The enemies circling him, the feds, the vultures in Tulsa, just made the same mistake his New York rivals made decades ago. They forgot who the hell he is. Now, with fewer allies and no illusion that peace is even on the menu, Dwight's next move isn't about business, leverage, or diplomacy. It's personal, strategic, and designed to break someone instead of pressure them. Episode 7 looks like the moment Dwight becomes the storm instead of the target. And if the trailer and leaks line up with what Episode 6 set in motion, then Art of War isn't a title, it's a warning label.
Do you know what would happen if they all knew I was here with you right now?
So what's the play?
The Bevilacqua arrest Ripple, who flips first to save themselves. The Bevilacqua arrest isn't just a headline, it's a detonation. Somebody in that circle is going to fold, and the panic is already baked into the situation. The Bevilacquas are not built like the old-world gangsters they cosplay as. The minute one of them sees real federal time on paper, the omerta talk disappears, and it becomes a competition. Who snitches first to save their own skin? And the brutal irony here is that the feds don't even need the truth, they just need a story they can weaponize, and the Bevilacqua clan is fragile enough to hand them one with a bow on it. The real question isn't if someone flips, it's which one cracks under the weight first. The feds aren't kicking in doors or demanding fireworks because they don't have to. They'll sit back, offer a deal, and let fear do the rest. And Dwight knows it. He's seen this movie. One domino tips, and suddenly, the whole organization is either in cuffs or signing cooperation papers before lunch. Add in Dunmire's desperation and dysfunction, and you've got a family structure that's emotionally incapable of holding the line under pressure. The heartbreaking part, at least for them, is that the Bevilacquas still think they're in a war with Dwight. They're not. They're in a war with themselves, and Episode 7 is where those cracks stop being subtle. The feds don't have to take Dwight down if the Bevilacquas burn down their own house out of paranoia, fear, and self-preservation. And with the arrest in motion, that fire has officially started.
Just antagonize him with my calmness. Eventually, that leads up to a devastating turn of events that pushes me almost over the edge.
Dunmire's son becomes the hidden fuse. Dunmire's son has gone from background furniture to the quietest threat in the entire war, and the best part? His father doesn't even see it. You can already feel the shift. He's not bought into the Dunmire mythology. He's not impressed by the power show. And for the first time, someone inside the Dunmire circle is questioning the mission. In a world where every adult male puffs their chest and screams about being a king, the son becomes dangerous precisely because he says nothing and watches everything. That's the kind of fuse that burns slow, then blows the whole room apart. Episode 6 made one thing clear. The kid isn't built for blind loyalty, and that terrifies men like Dunmire. Dictator-style fathers can handle rival gangs, federal pressure, cartel competition, and street assassins, but a son who no longer believes the gospel, that's the one enemy they can't shoot, silence, or intimidate back into line. And when that son sees hypocrisy, casualties, and empire building at the cost of humanity, patience becomes rebellion. Not with fists, not with guns, but with the one thing the father can't control: choice. And that's why he's the fuse, not the attack dog, not the strategist, the catalyst. Dunmire's downfall won't come from Dwight's bullets or the Fed's subpoenas. It will erupt from a moment where the son finally says no, or worse, stands with somebody else. Fathers who lead by fear always assume their sons will fall in line. But Episode 6 set the stage for a brutal reality. Dunmire's biggest explosion won't come from outside Tulsa. It'll come from his own dinner table.
Your taste! That was meant for me!
Mitch in the crosshairs, Dwight's last old-school ally at risk. Mitch has officially become the tragic bullseye in Dwight's ever-shrinking circle, and Episode 6 made that painfully clear. When you're the last surviving old-school ally, no hidden agenda, no side hustle, no political angle, you become the easiest way to break a man like Dwight from the inside. And that's the risk Mitch is living in now. He's the only one left who represents trust. And in Tulsa, trust is basically a neon sign that says, "Shoot here to hurt Dwight the fastest." What makes Mitch's situation even worse is that he's not built for this new kind of war. He's from the handshake deal era, the barroom code era, the world where loyalty meant something and wars had rules. Tulsa now has no rules, no honor, no limits, and Mitch is still trying to navigate it like the old map still applies. That doesn't make him weak, it makes him a relic. And relics don't survive nuclear-level turf wars unless they're willing to become something uglier than they've ever been. So far, Mitch hasn't crossed that line, but the people hunting Dwight will have no hesitation crossing it for him. And that's the heartbreak. Mitch is Dwight's conscience, which makes him a liability in a season that's about to ditch conscience entirely. If Dwight loses Mitch, it's not just the death of a character, it's the death of Dwight's last tether to humanity, which means Episode 7 and beyond could force Dwight into his final transformation. Not the charming outlaw, not the smiling operator, but the cold, scorched earth animal he swore he'd never become. And if the villains want that monster to emerge, there's no faster way than putting Mitch in a body bag. Dunmire's Phase 2, fear, starvation, and public humiliation. Dunmire has officially thrown away the rulebook and moved into Phase 2, psychological brutality as public theater. He's not trying to beat Dwight anymore, he wants to break him in front of an audience. Fear, starvation, humiliation, these are the pressure points he's now choosing instead of bullets. Because Dunmire finally understands something the police, the feds, and the mob never figured out. Dwight can survive violence. He cannot survive isolation, starvation of resources, and being made to look weak in the city he's trying to claim. Episode 6 made it clear. Dunmire wants to starve Dwight's businesses, choke off his alliances, freeze his money pipeline, and then make the public laugh at the fall. This is no longer a turf war, it's a reputation war. And it's actually smart. Dunmire knows Dwight feeds off loyalty and image, so Phase 2 is all about removing both. Shut down partnerships, raid the distillery, destroy the brand, cut supply chains, spook the locals, and turn Tulsa against him. He's not attacking Dwight's body, he's attacking his identity. Dunmire wants Dwight walking around that city like a king with no crown, no food, and no believers. A man like Dwight can handle bullets, but humiliation? That's the poison he can't spit out. But here's where Dunmire screws himself. Fear and humiliation don't break warriors, they forge warlords. By trying to starve Dwight out instead of finishing him, Dunmire is creating a version of his enemy that will no longer negotiate, no longer hold back, and no longer care about innocence, optics, or overkill. If Dunmire thinks Phase 2 will end in surrender, he's delusional. Fear is gasoline for a man like Dwight. Public humiliation? That's the spark. All Dunmire has really done is guarantee that Episode 7 and the finale won't end with a handshake or a courtroom. They will end with a public execution, a scorched earth retaliation, and a city that remembers who struck first. The Feds' invisible hand let the wolves tear each other apart. The Feds aren't storming Tulsa with sirens and righteous speeches. They're doing something meaner. They're orchestrating the chaos from the cheap seats. Episode 6 showed the blueprint, arrests that feel timed, leaks that land in the press at the worst possible moment, and patience that looks eerily like indifference. They don't need to punch holes in Dwight's operation when all they have to do is sit back and let rivalries, paranoia, and betrayal do the policing for them. Every gunfight, every business collapse, every broken promise creates paperwork, witnesses, and panic. The exact currency federal prosecutors love to trade in. This is tactical malpractice disguised as neutrality. The goal isn't to be the hero on TV, it's to manufacture the perfect indictment. Let a king lose his people, watch the frightened flip into deals, and then walk in with offers no scared fixer can refuse. Episode 6's Bevilacqua arrest felt like a muscle flex more than a moral act. Freeze a node, watch the network scramble, then pick off the pieces with subpoenas and plea bargains. The Feds win either way: a guilty plea, a televised bust, or the convenient collapse of a criminal ecosystem that cost them no political capital to create. And the cruel genius of it? It's legal theater. While Tulsa bleeds, those in suits control the narrative. Leaks to reporters, carefully timed search warrants, and a slow squeeze on the banks and backers who keep a criminal city running. By the time anyone realizes they're trapped, the evidence trail already exists, gathered not by a flashy raid, but by the built-in chaos of men who can't keep their secrets. Episode 7 is going to make that invisible hand feel less like an idea and more like a trap snapping shut, and the audience will watch as men who thought they were fighting rivals discover they were really fighting prosecutors with stopwatches. So now we're heading into Episode 7 with the board flipped, the alliances shattered, and Dwight officially done playing sheriff in a city full of clowns and cowards. Dunmire thinks he's winning. The Feds think they're clever. The vultures think the streets are free for the taking. But wars aren't won by the loudest man or the flashiest threat. They're won by the last man standing. And if Tulsa wants to keep pushing Dwight Manfredi into a corner, they better be ready for what comes out of that corner when Episode 7 hits. Because the next chapter is not going to be polite, it's not going to be clean, and it sure as hell won't be peaceful. Somebody's empire is going to burn, and the only question left is whether Dwight walks out of this as the king or the monster they accidentally created. Either way, we're past the point of no return. So buckle up, because this endgame doesn't have a happy ending, it has a final warning.